Jay Massey is a full-time real estate investor. He's an entrepreneur.
He also teaches people how to find deals, raise capital for real estate investments. Meeting Jay Massey in person, you'd think he's just a regular guy. He's got jeans and a t-shirt on and a pair of sneakers. But he's built up a multi-million-dollar empire.
I hope you do have an empty notebook because it's going home filled.
Jay gives back so much value that I've never seen.
Now, at this moment, when I'm looking at the kitchen, things are going through my head.
You want to be friends with him, and he treats you like you're the only person in the room, even though it's for the benefit of everybody.
This is how, when you ask yourself, how does Jay do it? This is how.
He tells people that they have to take action, and they have to take action now. I took the action, and the results have paid off.
What happens when the marketplace understands who we are and how we go out there? Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully things are going somewhat okay for you at the moment, and you've been able to put into practice a number of the things that we have been talking about, I guess, because it was a week ago, right, when we first started this thing, or we're getting there, almost a week ago, 6 days ago. Anyway, it was on the 1st. Today's the next day, and we're going to finish that business plan that we started. I think we started it technically on Friday. So we're going to get to the second half because we talked about the pain, we talked about the pleasure, we talked about a number of those things. So definitely, if you still have that, you want to get ready for that, and by going to get whatever you wrote it on previously or whatever you wrote your notes on previously. For those of you who are joining for the first time, do me a favor, go ahead and type the word first in the chat. That way I can see it. And if you are just now catching us, or if you've caught us before and you're like wondering what this is all about, it's a number of things. We've been going live every day for the month of April was the initial commitment, and that's what we're intending on doing. Because it was a challenge more or less to myself. Could I do it? Many of you know one of the games I've been playing has been, have I given my all? Have I done everything? Have I left it all on the court? And one of the ways that we came up with to make that happen is to go live every day for 30 days straight. In this particular case, it means the month of April seemed like a good time to me. And that's what we were doing. Mostly because there is strength in facing a fear. There's strength in seeing yourself and asking yourself to do something that you feel like you do not have the skill set to actually overcome. It's a way of building your own confidence. So in a moment, we're going to start talking about some very specific daily activities in order to achieve a goal. And some of those things, especially because it's a goal, something that you have not yet done or accomplished, it may bring up, to you things that you are still hoping to become, hoping to do, hoping to have. And what we can do is we can help you with that over time, right? And we can learn to even help each other with it, which is also cool. Before we start talking about it, though, there's a video by a gentleman by the name of Simon Sinek. And if you were joined us yesterday, you saw him, yes, again. But this particular subject that we're talking about today, because I know, having taught this before in many different stages, individuals have a feeling. You're going to have an emotion about some of the content, even though they're going to be your goals, your numbers. And it's okay to have all of those emotions. It's okay to have all of those feelings. What I want you to hear, though, is that you can get there. And we're going to just finish building, in this case, your roadmap to a lot of those goals. In order to do that, we're going to break it down. Hopefully, you have your notes previously so that you can see, because we're just going to pick right up. We're going to pick right up right after the video, and then we're just going to keep on going forward. All right, let's see if we can't. Where to go? Now, why is it not working? Okay, I think we got it. All right, so here we go.
The way we find fulfillment is by doing good for others. So how do the Marines do it? How do you get people to do good for others? We all know this. Intellectually, we know that it's good to do good for others, but why don't we do it then? Why don't we do it? And what the Marines learned is something that I completely did not expect. They can't just yell at these guys to help each other. That's not what happens. There's a few things that they have to do first. So we all have heard of the obstacle course, right? The Marines have a thing called the obstacle course. And this is where they build anaerobic strength and aerobic strength, muscle strength, and it's timed and all of this good stuff. They have another course called the confidence course, and it's never timed. And most of the obstacles on this course cannot be completed by yourself. They must be completed in teams. You have no choice. That's just how it's designed. And what they say is the first 2 weeks of boot camp, everybody's there to outdo each other and prove that they're strong. Just kind of like when we start in a job, we want to show how great we are, we'll work a little harder, we'll do good work, look how good my design is, right? It's all about us and how good we are, right? But they keep putting them in situations where they can't do things by themselves. And what starts to happen very slowly, they said after about 2 weeks, they start cheering for each other. Now they get in trouble when they do, but they start cheering for each other. And then before too long, you see them organically start helping each other. And what happens is if there's one person who's weak and refuses to help the others, or even if there's one person who's strong, I was the star college athlete, and they get to the end of every obstacle and they just stand there and wait for everybody to finish and they don't help each other, what starts to happen is organically the group starts to ostracize that person. Organically, they get ostracized until they learn that the only way that they will get through this thing, the only way they will survive boot camp, is if they ask for help because they have no option. The problem is, no one will help them until they're willing to help another. It's the deal we have to make. It's called vulnerability and risk. We have to take the risk to make ourselves vulnerable. Yes, you might do something for someone else and they may not do something back for you. That's the risk you run. That's the risk you run. It's not about giving everything to them and sort of huge, big, overwhelming risks. It's about little things and little things. It's like going on a date, right? It's like if I went on a date with somebody and I came home and I said, after one date I said, I'm marrying her. And people are like, what are you, nuts? I'd be like, I'm in love. They're like, but this is crazy. I'm like, I know, I'm in love, you know? She feels the same way. We both know it's nuts, right? Now you know that you're going to be like, go on a couple more dates, right? We know instinctively that the strong bond that needs to be created first takes more than a week, right? We know that, right? But if I've been dating somebody for 7 years and we haven't, married, you'd be like, dude, what is wrong, right? In other words, we know that it takes more than 7 days and we know that it takes less than 7 years. The problem is, we don't know how long it takes. It's somewhere in the middle. All human bonds are the same. Like when you show up at work, when you show up for the first time, when you're new, don't expect that people will look out for you and they won't expect you to look out for them in 7 days. It won't happen. But if you've been working at a job for a few years and you don't have the absolute confidence that if you turn your back you will not get stabbed, you can rely on somebody, you can give them something, nothing will go wrong, you will share the credit, no one will throw you under the bus. If you don't have that in a few years, something's wrong. Something's wrong. I don't know how long it takes, but I know that's more than a week and I know it's less than 7 years. And the Marines fundamentally understand that before anyone is willing to put themselves out for another, they have to have self-confidence. Real self-confidence. You have to be confident in yourself and your own ability before you're willing to help another. If you're insecure at all about your own ability, it's sort of a paradox, right? How can I overcome my confidence, my self-confidence? And we all have ego issues at all times, we all do, right? But if I'm not confident in myself, I won't help another. It's a paradox because then we need someone to look out for us before we're willing to help our peers, right? This is what management is supposed to do. The drill instructors, the school, they're there, our parents, they're there for one reason and one reason only, to help us feel strong and good about ourselves. But look at the way we talk to each other. Look, a budget's been cut. And so what do you get told? I need you guys to do more with less, right? That's what we're told. Hey guys, I need you guys to do more with less. That's what we're told by our clients, by our bosses, by our parents. This is what we're told, right? That's like your parents telling you when you're young, I know you're stupid, figure it out, right? You're not as smart as the other kids. What do you want me to do? Right? It's the exact same thing. I need you to do more with less. Right? What we need to be telling people is, I need you to do more with what you have. Right? You have capacity, you have strength, you have talent, you have ability. I need you to do more with what you have. We don't celebrate what we've got. We criticize for what we don't have. This is the responsibility of management, to take us under their wing and help us understand our own value to ourselves. Close your eyes and think back to high school. And think of that one teacher who took you under their wing and cared for you and looked after you and helped you realize that you are capable of more than you thought you were. And you probably are the person you are today in some part because of that person, right? Do you have that name? What's the name? Tell me the name. Tell me the name of the teacher. Okay, give me the name. Okay, I can point to anybody and you can tell me that name. Now tell me the names of all the other teachers you had that day. Can't remember them, can you? This is the power of those who teach us confidence. We will literally carry their names around with us for the rest of our lives. Wouldn't you want to be that person? Wouldn't you want to be the person that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, I can do this exercise with somebody and they will tell me your name? This is the power of helping others realize their own strengths. This is what management and leadership is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be caring for us and helping us realize our own value. And by the way, if you have anybody who reports to you or works for you, your responsibility is not to make them meet the deadline. Your responsibility is not to make sure that they do as you say. Your responsibility is to make sure that they understand their own strengths, their own value, and that they are way, way more talented than they think they are. And the only way they will learn that is if you put them in situations in which they can fail. And you hold them and you support them and you give them talent and you give them skills and you give them education and you watch their backs, and if they fall over you encourage them to get back up, and if they fall over you encourage them to get back up, and if they fall over you encourage them to get back up until they figure it out themselves. It's called confidence. It's your responsibility to help others find it, and it's others' responsibility to help you find yours. And the amazing thing is, as soon as you start feeling confident in your own ability, you naturally help each other. That's what happens. It's called trust. In the military, they give medals to people who are willing to sacrifice themselves so that others may gain. In business, we are willing to give bonuses to people who will sacrifice others so that we may gain. We have it backwards. And then we complain about how we don't love our jobs, and we complain about how the work is suffering, and we complain about how budgets are being cut, and we complain. And the first thing we do is blame each other and become more selfish and worry about my pay and my benefits and my this. And this is what happens. When we are unfulfilled, we look at the metrics and we say they're not good enough. When we are fulfilled, we don't care about the metrics. This is why when you have a job you love and you get a call that says, I'll offer you tons more money and great benefits, you're like, I'm not interested, I'm not interested, I'm not interested. I'm very happy here, but we'll give you more. That's not the reason I'm here. I'm here because I love it. I'm here because I care for the people I work with, and I'm here because the people I work with care for me. This is the world I imagine. This is the world I imagine. And here's the great thing. If you take little risks, I'm not talking about big things, little things. If you start doing little things for each other, the amazing anthropological response is other people will start doing little things for others too. I was walking down the street 2 days ago, and a guy's backpack was open and a whole bunch of paper fell out as he was walking down the street. And I happened to be behind him, and so my friend and I just we were in mid-conversation, and in mid-conversation, we never even stopped talking. We just bent down, sort of helped him gather his papers, hand them back to him, sort of pointed out that his backpack was unzipped, and he said thanks, and we walked on. It was like no big deal, right? We get to the end of the street, and we stand we're waiting to cross the street. We're still talking, we haven't stopped talking. And the guy in front of us turns to us and says, I saw you help that guy. That was really cool. But here's what's great about that. The guy will go do something for someone else simply because he saw us bend down and pick up paper for someone else. He will actually go do something for someone else because of it. Right? He won't give to charity because he sees me put $1 in a cup. But he will actually help someone because he saw someone also help someone. Little things. Hold a door open for someone. Say thank you to the person who holds the door open for you. Smile to the barista. Little things. Put your foot in the subway when the door is closing so someone who's running will make it. Hit the open at the elevator. Don't go... or pretend you didn't see. That's the best one. Oh, I would have if I saw. Sorry, right? Do it. A little time and a little energy. And you'll find around work that people give a little time and a little energy back to you. And you'll give a little more time and a little more energy. You go for a coffee with someone. Then you go for a 2-hour coffee. Then you go for a coffee and a lunch. Then you go for a lunch and a dinner. Then you go for a dinner and a movie. And then you sleep over. And then you sleep over 2 nights. And then you go on holiday together. And eventually you get married. Right? It's slow. It takes time. And we can't rush it. If when we rush it, it's all fake. Do things for others and watch how much others do for you. Go get yourself a cup of coffee from the coffee machine in the morning. Make one for someone else. It takes a little extra time. It takes a little extra energy. That's the point. That's the point. And here's the best part. You will feel so good at the end of the day. So good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Three, 1, 2. There we go. I think I got it right. Yes, there it is. Hey guys. So, the main thing that I was hoping you heard from that. Well, before I even go there, do me a favor. Anytime I play videos like this or say something like that, what you should be typing in the chat, just in case you were wondering, I don't have any questions. I'm not typing anything. Something that resonated with you. So whatever it resonated with you, either from something I've said, something that you're thinking about, or in this case, the video, what we want you to do is to type that in the chat. It's going to help you retain the information, and most importantly, you may spark an idea in someone else who's also paying attention. For those of you watching the replay, by all means, yes, you too, you should continue to do the same thing. That's just how it works. So I hope that from that you were able to glean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ideas. Who knows? Because the way that I was taught and the way that I will share with you that I believe is very beneficial is that anytime I'm doing something, so long as I get one new idea from it, whatever I invested, it was worth it, period. Now, what does that mean? In this particular case, hopefully every time you're showing up, you're getting at least one new idea. Over time, you can collect up all those ideas and then go implement, and that's the goal. And the reason that I do a lot of the things that I do is to help people be able to implement the information that they've received and that they've been presented. Now, in my opinion, one of the most important things you could have gotten from what you just heard was simply the concept of building confidence, right? The concept of building confidence is something that you and I, all of us, must do, right? And that process is usually not fun. It's not something most of us look forward to. Yet, when we set a goal, often it requires us to do things that maybe we're not good at the moment, maybe have never been good at, maybe have never even seen ourselves becoming that particular thing or person. And yet we know we still want it, and we see other people have or are that thing. And that just means we have to do it too. That's what it means. It means we have to do it too. We have to go through that same process. So that's part of what happens, right? Because the fun part of a business plan is I want to go do all of these great things. And, that's why we went through the top 10, the things that you would do in 2020 if you knew you could not fail, the things that you would be in 2020 if you knew you could fail, all that. That's why we did that. And then we ordered it, and then we've been moving. Then we went over hey, what happens if you don't get it done? And then we went over what happens if you do, And now what it comes down to, if you take what we did yesterday we talked a lot about one of my favorite exercises, what happens just before that. Because when you're focused on the thing just before that, you can always get back to what should I do today, right? When you're building the roadmap, because it is, trust me, your roadmap. When you're building it, you get to this point to where you know what to do today and you know what to do to stay on track. And you just then go lift weights, do the thing, do the one small thing that keeps you on track, right? And that's what I want to illustrate for you today as we go back through. Let me pull up the sheet. Like I said before, I'm using the same format that I have used for quite some time. And I'm using one of the ones that I did way back in 2009. And who knows, I might be able to find the like very first one of these I did. I have to go look, like it's got to be in the garage somewhere, because it's before I was doing things on Excel and all kinds of fancy stuff. So it's handwritten in a very unique way. So where is it? Yes. And boom. And yesterday, I want to show that. Oh my gosh, that's a mess. Okay, there it is. So yesterday we ended near here, and we were really focused because we got to the point to where we were talking about selling things, or however it is that you're going to generate income, because your goals, all of our goals, mine, yours, everybody's, it typically has some component of monetary component. There's usually a monetary component and a time component. So it's some of both of those. And in this particular instance, we had finally narrowed it down to a particular outcome that we wanted to generate around, because we were talking about, hey, if I wanted to rent a Lamborghini for a week, what would that look like, right? What would that look like? And how much would that cost? How do I break it down? And how do I go from where I am to getting to that thing? This is the point. So in this particular sense, because I believe very strongly it is imperative that all of us have more than one way we deliver value to the marketplace, meaning not just one source of income. What I'm going to show you is how to take whatever it is you're doing, break it down, right? So that you are in a position to then complete the rest of the roadmap for yourself, so that you know what to do today, right? So that's really the next step of what we're going to do today. So in this particular case, I'm going to use a different number. Where's the black? I want black right now. We're going to use the number 10,000. We're going to just say that whatever it is that you are looking to do, it's going to require of you the resource to do it is $10,000. Who knows? Maybe you want to go on a crazy cruise. You know, I did say cruise. They're not going anywhere, guys. The cruise lines will still be here. They'll look different, but they'll be here. And especially, yeah, they'll look different, but they'll be here. So maybe you want to go to crazy cruise. Maybe you are saving up this 10,000 because who knows what it is. But understand, I am presupposing a number of things at this point. I am saying that you have already decided on how you're going to provide value, aka what business, regardless of size, regardless if it's self-employed. I'm not talking about any of that. You know, yeah, we've already got that covered. That part has already happened, right? So I don't really care if it's self-employed. I don't really care if it's a bigger business at all, greater than 500 employees. This formula, what has to happen is what has to happen, right? There is no, there's nothing secret about it. But we're going to just keep playing the same game that we played yesterday. What happens just before that? So just before you had the $10,000, what likely happened in this particular case, because you have a product and or service that you're putting out into the marketplace, what likely happened is that you quote unquote closed. Still never liked that phrase. I don't know how it ever come into being, closed the sale, because, and the reason I say that, for those of you wondering, because that's actually the beginning of the work. It's more accurate. It could be more accurately stated. This is where you open the relationship, because this is really the beginning of your relationship or your company's relationship with the customer that you're serving, whomever the customer is. But that's just a me thing, semantics. I'll move on. So in order for your business to receive the, say, $10,000 in this particular case, in order to do it, that likely means you close the sale. Now, that is also assuming, in this case, that each sale gets you $10,000. We say, well, Jay, I don't see myself selling anything that could do that. Okay, totally understood. If you're, whatever it is, you say, well, I can see myself figuring out how to do, say, I'm gonna make the math easy on myself, $500. Okay, cool, fine. So then understand, everything that we're about to do just means you have to do that same thing 20 times. It's just going to be a cycle, right? Here's my point. Every funnel, and I know I use the word funnel, but it applies to, it's not just an online business thing. Every business has always had some sort of a funnel. So let me draw it for you. Again, I am no artist, right? Every business has had some sort of funnel from the beginning. And what ends up happening is that what goes in, 1, 2, 3, right? These are the prospects, if you will. These are the people that the business believes it needs to communicate its message to. There are many ways to communicate that message. We're not talking about marketing right now. My point is prospects. The people who then hear that message and that message resonates with, and they take some form of a small action, are typically going to be called the lead, as you know. And then through a process, whatever their process is, okay, what happens is that they invite that customer to increase their level of belief. That's what happens between here, that's what happens between this spot and this next spot. In between here, the company has a process that they use, that they leverage in order to increase the person's belief in what it is that they do, how they serve in some way, shape, or form. And then at some point during this process, they invite them to the next step. No, I'm sorry. When they're a lead in the process of increasing their belief, this is where they're usually inviting them to see the company as an expert or knowledgeable, or it as something that person needs in some way, shape, or form. So they take that lead, they expose their message to a bunch of people. Resonates with some people, they're like, cool, we identify who those are, and then we invite those people to come see what we do in real time, whatever that might be. The same process happens, and I'll show you with many different business models in just a second. After this happens, though, after that, they ask you for a deeper level of commitment in terms of not either money and or time, so that they can get to know you. So we can call this part of their follow-up process, if you will, follow up. And sometime during this, there is the part at which they ask you to become their actual customer or client, depending on, whether you have the product or service. Sometimes this is patient. And sometimes this process goes really, really fast. And the best ones eventually will ask you to send over a referral. And then the process starts all over again. My point is, this is the process for every business. When you think about movies, a trailer is them putting it in front of, hey, here's a new product we have. And some of you, if you're like me, I literally have a notebook around, I want to see these movies. These are the movies I want to see. And when I see the trailer, I pull out my notebook. I'm like, okay, cool, write that down, date, that type of thing. And that, for all intents and purposes, I intend on seeing that movie. That thing is going to happen. And then they come out with the second trailer, third trailer, teaser trailer, final trailer. I'm ready, right? Let me go and then watch the movie. Now, like I know that a lot of movies have merchandise. They have a lot of things that create this process, right? Every business does. Before I go too far, I just want to keep it simple though, and help you understand that when we have a goal, this $10,000, whatever it could be, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, I don't really care the number. The only thing that you need to understand is that your business, whatever it is that you're doing, needs to have some sort of system and or process. And then we're going to just GPT, goal, plan, track. We've already talked about the goal. This is the plan. And now we have to show you how to actually track that, right? So here's what I mean. Whoops, I want to put that on this side. Close, right? So that's the point that everyone's thinking about most of the time is, hey, how can I get, how can I create more income? Great. Well, before you close, remember what I just showed you. I just showed you the steps, but I'm doing them in reverse order at this particular moment. So before it closed, there's got to be some part of your follow-up process, right? And before that, there's some form, and I hesitate to use this word because it conjures certain things and sends some people down the wrong path, but some form of presentation, some form of, hey, this is who we are, what we do, that you have found, that your company has found to be effective, but it is some form of that, right? And sometimes the presentation is not, well, the best presentations are the one that you actually never give, and that's a subject for another conversation. But you've got your follow-up, you got your presentation, but before they come to a presentation, you, in some way, shape, or form, you probably should confirm. And before you can confirm them, you should invite them. And before you can invite someone, you probably have to, and I'm just going to keep it simple and say, add them to your database. Okay? Now, there's something that I want you to be aware of right now that is in the shape of a triangle, because not being aware of this will cost you a lot of opportunity in the coming markets to be. Because what ends up happening is that most people focus right there. And right there, that has no context to you yet, but let me show you what I mean. I'm gonna go look this up real fast. There's a book by a gentleman, Chet Holmes, Ultimate Sales Machine. Yep, there we go. And where'd it go? I want this. No, there it is. Actually, this one looks better. So this is the thing that should be playing in the back, in the back of your mind, like all the time. Why is that? You guys, just leave the image. That's all I wanted. I just want a very clear image that I can look at. I don't want that thing over there. How do I get? I want to show you this image because it's really important that you get this. Because once you get this idea, this concept, you will understand why. Okay, I'm gonna do my best with what we got here. All right, so what I said a second ago was that most people start and focus on the 3%. That 3% that's up here, that 3% is great because those individuals, as you can see, as defined by here, they were ready to purchase. Most people, when we're in business or starting something, you must really understand, you may have done 50, 100, 200, 300 contacts that day. Wonderful. And at most 3% were actually ready to purchase, right? So, because and you're trying to build your entire business on that 3%, and you're looking for that immediate result as opposed to planting seeds. Remember I said building the relationship over time. Then the next step is that 7%. That 7%, they're open to buying, but they weren't actually looking. But they're not the 3% yet. They can become the 3%, but they're not there yet. That's what's important for you to understand. The next part is the 30%. They weren't thinking about it. They didn't necessarily like it or dislike it. They had no attitude one way or the other, but they at least watched. They were there. That was that 5 seconds. They didn't do the skip on the ad. That didn't really matter. The next one though, this one's really interesting, is the second to last 30%. They don't think they're interested. They don't know, but they don't think they're interested, which is a completely different interest level, different thing to think about. And then lastly, the last 30%, they know they're not. They literally know they're not. And unfortunately, I find that a lot of people spend a whole bunch of time with those that know they aren't interested, trying to convince them, when obviously the majority of your time needs to be spent closer towards the top. But also, do you realize that if you don't have a plan to address the people in the middle, there's 67% of the individuals that you come in contact with that your business could ultimately, especially over time, influence to become customers, but you don't have a system in place that allows you to do that simply. It's really important that you get that, okay? And the reason is because this process, adding people to the database, inviting them, confirming, presentation, follow-up, close, it is all a part of it, right? It is all a part of it. So now I'm going to write this one more time, and then we're going to put some numbers into it so that you can begin to see what you would quote unquote need to do today, right? What you would need to do today. So I'm going to write this one more time, and we're going to now this time do it from top to bottom. So again, we're assuming the goal is still the same, $10,000. On this, and for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say that $10,000 represents one sale for you. Now, it could be more, it could be less, it could be all kinds of things, but this is important to understand. All right. So what did I say? You got to add people to the database. After you add them, you got to invite them to something. You've got to invite them to something. Once you send out that invite, you've had people, yeah, I'm coming. No, you ain't. You got to confirm them because they forgot in some way, shape, or form. Confirm, send them a reminder, those types of things, because you ultimately want to be able to do that presentation and show them what you're up to. So this time, instead of using the word presentation, I'm going to say show them what you're up to, right? Show them what you are up to. Show them. And then after that, you got to follow up. There's some form of a follow-up that you need to develop or in order for your system to work. And then you're going to ask them to, and notice I'm changing the word, enroll. You're going to ask them to get started. You're going to ask them to join you. And if you were paying attention to what I said 2 screens ago, you also know you should ask them for a referral. I will just tell you point blank, the best time to ask for a referral is literally at the close of sale. There is no better time. Don't wait, do it immediately. So what we're going to talk about though, is this is the point where the $10,000 happens. It would be naive to think that your plan revolved around 100% success. So for the sake of this conversation, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to assume that you are 50% successful all the way back. Now we can adjust all of these numbers, but I just want to show you the process. So what does that mean? That means if I've only did 1 here to get 1, that means I had to do at least 2 follow-ups, because 2 times 50% is 1. In order to get to 2 follow-ups, that means I should have 4 here, because 4 times 50% is 2. In order to get to 4 people to talk to or show what it is that I'm up to, whatever the product or service is, that means I need to do 8 here, because 8 times 50% is 4. In order to have 8 people that I can confirm, meaning I have invited a lot, in order to do this, I probably should have 16 here. Now, why is that different? Is because when you do the invite, not everybody says yes. If you want, one of the ways to get better at what you're doing is to take all of this, and I'll show you in a second, to take each of this step by step so that you know what step you're working on in order to improve. So let's take this one more step. In order to invite 16 people, that means I should add somewhere on the neighborhood of 32 people, because 32 times 50% is 16. Now, as you see, I can change those numbers. Very rarely are you going to be 50% successful all the way down. The number is probably going to be lower, to be honest, and especially it also depends though on what it is that you're offering, its price point, because some products are high trust, some are high dollar, some are high dollar and high trust. And then obviously so if the more trust, the more dollars, the longer the sales process needs to be, and that's fine. My point to you though is this is how you figure it out. And then it becomes really easy. You can just ask yourself, for my product or service today, do I have, in this case, 32 people in the database? If I have 32 people in the database, if assuming my ratios were 50%, if I had 32 people in the database, then great. If I don't, then I know what to do. I need to keep going until I get to 32 people. Have I invited 16? Have I confirmed 8? Have I done the presentation 4 times, or told people, had them see my, sales letter, virtual sales letter, video sales letter? Have they, whatever it is, have we talked on Zoom? You have a way of doing all of these things. The same is true for those who are in the short-term rental world. This is no different. Hey, have I talked to landlords? Have I invited a landlord to let me tour the property and see it? Did they show up? Was I able to walk the property and watch it? Were we able to follow up and actually get all of our questions answered? Did I ask them, can I go ahead and rent the property? Same thing if you wanted to buy them. It's no different. The process is the same. The way you generate a result is you take that goal that we talked about, use the plan, and this is how you track it, right? You literally track it step by step. Through this process, on the other end, what you end up with is the result that you were originally after, which in this case is $10,000, right? Assuming that that's what your product or service yield. You're like, well, my service isn't that. All right, cool. As I said, if it was only $500, then you do this 20 times and you're still in the same spot. My point is, this is the process that we've gone through so that you can put yourself in a completely different position. The reason that I wanted to share with you that video about confidence, yes, because that's what it was. The reason I wanted to share with you that video about confidence is because I know I use some words that, well, sometimes makes people uncomfortable. I use words like sales, and I started saying funnels and close and all of this stuff. And you're like, I don't have those skills, Jay. And it's okay. That's very normal. This is the time where it's time to begin to gain new skills. Back, I think on the very first day when we started this, I gave you the path to becoming, right? And let me see if I can scroll. Man, we talked about a lot of stuff, haven't we? Okay, we're not done. That's great. No, there it is. So we talked about the path to becoming. On that path, I said desire, which that's the one thing you've got to bring to the table. And then you learn to invest your time differently. Doing what? Gaining talents and skills, building relationships becomes the next step, because in the process of building those relationships, in the process of gaining those new talents, you will build relationships with other individuals who are looking to do the same, which then you will gain credibility, which then gives you the ability to do business with them and others. This is how you get to the point of cash. And then you learn to take what you've built and turn it into cash flow so that it becomes an asset, which then gets you to significance. But my point is, number 3, talent and skills. Gaining the new talents and skills is a part of the process when we have a goal. To expect an employer to have your goals and help you to get all of them is a bit much, and especially when you can do it yourself. So what it comes down to is we've got to take some, if not all, of the responsibility, and we can go make it happen, right? Have an additional way of generating revenue. Make it happen for yourself, because you can. And that ends up becoming the entire business plan. In fact, let me show you. Do I have that still open? Yep. So as I said, this is what we did, right? We talked about, that didn't work. That's a blank sheet. There it is, goals. So we had the goals, remember? And then we did the pain. We did the what happens if it goes well. Then I broke down what the plan was. The same plan I just shared with you. This is just way more detailed. Okay, back when I was beginning my real estate career. And then the last one was activity, which is where I was tracking. Now, as you can see, I did not expect myself to have a 50% ratio all the way through, and that's fine. And I gave myself a number that I had to add 3,247 people. That's what it was. And I'm like, okay, cool, great. And then you set about going to work. That became the plan. That became the work. And then over time, you put yourself in a position to where you actually get it done. So I'm gonna answer a few questions because I got a few minutes before I'm supposed to catch up with my team, and then we will see where we are. Let's see. Yes, Future Wiz on YouTube. This is live. Let's see. Morning. Hey, Dietra. How you doing? Hey, Scott. Paying it forward always works. When you rush, it is. Oh, got it. Oh, you're writing it? Yes. I like it. So some of the things you guys learned. This is perfect. I love it. Scott says, be selfless. I like it. Paying it forward will always work. And I have got to find a way to get this thing higher. Let me see. When you rush, it is all fake. Wow, Cynthia, I love it. And then I need you to do more with what you have. Yes, I need you to do more with what you have. Ultimately, guys, that's what happens when you have a goal. You come in contact with what you don't have. You become aware of it. But it doesn't mean you don't have anything that you can move forward with to make it happen. That's the most important part. Can you reduce the small screen? Can you reduce the small screen for a screenshot? Sorry, Dietra, I don't know what you're asking me right there. But yeah. All right, cool. So hopefully you guys were able to glean and get something today. From what it is that we were able to go through. I hope that it helped. Again, as a reminder, you want to begin to make your way over to facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. For those of you that are here, we're currently streaming in 7 different locations, which makes it really tough to keep up with everything. It's going to go down to 2, right? So if you're in one of our Facebook groups, you're going to need to get over to facebook.com/CashFlowDiary Live. Did that come on the screen? There it goes. So that you can, if you still want to be on Facebook, on YouTube, you're in the right place already. So it's youtube.com/CashFlowDiary, because we want to make sure that I can see all of your wonderful comments. So make sure that if you have a desire to continue learning, if this is helpful, over these next 30 days, we're going to keep doing this at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And for those of you who know, like, where's the short-term rental stuff? No problem. Totally understood. We're still doing that. If you want to learn more about what that looks like, how short-term rentals work, given this, I'll call it new economy, then you want to go over to cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Cashflowdiary.com/learn live. Feel free to come and join us. We will have our next, we'll be talking today at 4 o'clock inside one of our Facebook groups, just for the people who care about that. So you can go register if that's of something that's interested to you. And you know what? It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.